The start of the 21st century saw the largest fleet replacement in UK intercity rail history to take place. This project was known as the Intercity Express programme and was valued at £4.5 billion. It eventually saw the introduction of 313 new Hitachi trains across Britain's railway network to replace ageing British rail-built stock such as the Intercity 125 fleets. These trains have revolutionised intercity rail travel in the UK, providing new standards of performance and speed on the routes that they serve. But like any new fleet of trains, they haven't been problem-free. In fact, they've seen issues that have forced some of the trains to be withdrawn from service over their operating history. But despite this, these trains have still revolutionised the way we travel long distances by rail, maybe even making UK intercity trains one step closer to becoming like the Shinkansen in Japan. The story of the Intercity Express programme begins in 2005, when the Department for Transport set out long-term plans to replace the Intercity 125s, also known as HSTs, that were at that point the most common intercity trains in the country. The Intercity 125 fleets have been running since 1976 and operated on most intercity routes across the country, so a large-scale replacement was needed. The HSTs were already becoming outdated in the mid-2000s. Their acceleration was far slower than newer intercity trains introduced around this time, such as the Voyagers, and they also lacked modern cab crash protection that protect the driver as much as possible in a crash event. These trains were also diesel-powered, but they commonly ran under wires on electrified lines, so an electric or bi-mode replacement would make more sense. This programme would also coincide with the electrification of the Great Western Main Line from London to Cardiff, Bristol, Swansea and Oxford, meaning that there would be electric trains ready for when the electrification programme was complete. In 2007, the tender for the fleet was set out, which was awarded to Agility Trains in 2009. Agility Trains was the European body for Hitachi, the Japanese train manufacturer. Hitachi's product for this brief was the AT300 series, or Super Express train. It would include faster acceleration, the ability to run on both electric and diesel power, better fuel efficiency, and more capacity compared to the trains that they were replacing. 2008 saw the global financial crash, so the UK government slowed down the project and reduced the order size. By 2012, the project gained funding, with this programme being the first train order in the UK to be funded through public-private partnership. This meant that the £4.5 billion of funding that was needed was raised through loans from banking corporations. Construction of the units began in 2014, with GWR set to receive 36 bi-mode Class 800 units and 21 Class 801 electric-only units. However, delays and cutbacks to the Great Western Main Line electrification programme meant that the electric-only Class 801 variant were equipped with diesel capability as well, and became known as Class 800-3s. Great Western Railway also ordered another 36 Class 802 bi-mode units in 2015. These had more powerful diesel generators than the Class 800s, as they'd be commonly used on non-electrified sections of the GWR network, such as in Devon and Cornwall. The bi-mode capability of these trains is done by fitting some of the carriages with MTU diesel generators, which then power the electric motors of the train to get it moving. The Department for Transport also funded 23 bi-mode Class 800 units and 42 electric Class 801 units for the East Coast Main Line, which would replace both the Intercity 125 and Intercity 225 fleets on the route, which were branded by Virgin Trains East Coast as the Azuma, which means east in Japanese, a hint to the train's origin. But this wasn't the end of orders of this type of train. 2015 also saw Hull Trains ordering bi-mode Class 802s. Great Western Railway also ordered another 7, and then the year after, TransPennine Express ordered 802s as well. These 3 orders were all funded by First Group, the parent company to these train operating companies. The next orders were in 2019, with Lumo ordering 5 Class 803 electric-only units. East Midlands Railway ordered 33 Class 810s, which are a slightly different variant of the AT300 series. And finally, Avanti West Coast placed an order for 10 electric Class 807s and 13 bi-mode Class 805s for West Coast mainline operations. The first of the IETs entered service with Great Western Railway in 2017. Their reception was mixed. Whilst the bi-mode capability much faster acceleration, and improved cab design was appreciated. People were quick to complain about the interiors. People found the seats uncomfortable, the lights too bright, and there to be a lack of luggage storage. The Great Western units also lacked a buffet counter like the old trains had, with the service being replaced by a trolley. This was not well received by unions and passengers. The Azumas started service on the East Coast Main Line in May 2019. These were better received, as they had a buffet counter and were able to run on electric mode for more of their journeys, where the acceleration improvements were visible most. Since then, other operators have gradually introduced their Intercity Express trains into service, and last year, Grand Central ordered a new tri-mode IET fleet for their services. With this many orders, they must be at least somewhat successful trains. But how have they changed intercity rail travel in the UK? In my opinion, they've revolutionised it. These trains are fast. On the East Coast Main Line, Virgin claimed that the journey time savings could be as high as 22 minutes, down to the acceleration of the units. They also are on the most part reliable, and in day-to-day service, operators can rely on them to provide a high-quality service that won't break down suddenly. They have also facilitated the introduction of new infrastructure improvements, such as the East Coast Digital Signalling Programme, as these trains are compatible with the new signalling systems, and they are safer than the trains that they replaced. A low-speed crash in 2019 between an IET and a HST showed how the crumple zone of the IET front protected the driver and passengers in the first carriage. But these trains haven't been without their faults. In 2021, cracks in 5 Great Western Railway Class 800 units were found in the yaw dampers by the bogies. Cracks were also found in LNER and Hull Trains units, with most of their fleets being temporarily withdrawn to be inspected, causing widespread disruption. After 5 days, a short-term fix was found, but in the long term, 1,247 Class 800 vehicles will need to be repaired to reduce the risk of body cracking. And in 2025, GWR Class 800s and 802s were affected by fuel pump issues, with more than 80% of the fleet having at least one diesel generator isolated because of the issue, which massively impacts the fleet operation on diesel mode. On one occasion, a 10-carriage set had all 6 generators fail outside of Plymouth, requiring the service to be rescued by another train. So overall, the IETs are everywhere, and they're here to stay. Passengers and operators appreciate the reliability, speed, and quality of life improvements that these trains have brought. But like any train, they're not perfect. While people love to bash these trains over the seats that Hitachi didn't even make themselves, and a few reliability hiccups that any new fleet this size would inevitably experience, I think that they are some of the most successful and functional trains that the UK has ever received. I've had many successful IET journeys up and down the country, and to this day, their rapid acceleration and sleek design still impresses me. But equally, I know that not everyone agrees with me. What do you think of the IETs? Tell me in the comments section down below. I'd love to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you consider subscribing to my channel